I'm Molly.
And I'm Jamie, and this is our From the Pasture with Hired Hand podcast. As the owners of Hired Hand website software, we've been developing websites and creating internet marketing strategies for livestock breeders for the past 10 years.
The majority of our customers are involved in the breeding of registered animals, such as Texas Longhorns, Highland cattle, horses, and white-tailed deer, where the pedigrees are very important. The From the Pasture with Hired Hand podcast examines many of the differences in raising pedigreed livestock for maximum profit. Join us and learn what we're covering today. In today's episode, we'll be talking with Vickie Boyd from B4 Cattle Company. Vickie and her husband raise Texas Longhorns in Oklahoma. Hi, Vickie, and thanks for joining us today. Would you please take a second and tell everyone more about B4 Cattle Company?
We started our Longhorn business in 2016, so we've only been in business for 4 years, but we went into this business with the mindset that the Longhorn is the total animal and that we want to market that total animal. So the beef business has always been at the forefront of one of those things that we wanted to do with our Longhorns.
So why did you get started with Longhorns?
Well, first off, they're such an iconic, majestic animal that I have loved my whole life. But when I found out about the health benefits of the meat and the animal is, whether they're a show animal, an animal for tip to tip, or if you're using the beef aspects of it, there's no waste in the animal. The hide, the horns, the beef. And I really was inspired by Mr. Dickinson with his story about how he got started in Colorado and he lost a bunch of cattle and how he pulled it all out in the end by utilizing and selling the horns. So I felt like it was a no-lose situation. I didn't feel the risk associated with what you normally do with a startup because I felt like the animal itself, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. You're very diversified, and so therefore it would be kind of hard to lose money is how I looked at it.
How many years have you been selling Longhorn beef?
So we've just been selling Longhorn beef since May of last year. So this last May was our first birthday. It's been quite a journey. It has been exciting, and I really wish more people were in it because there's certainly there's a market out there for it.
So you've already talked a little bit about kind of the inspiration behind how you got started and everything, but did you always know that you wanted to have a beef business, or was it kind of just a progression like you talked about, it just kind of made sense?
Well, it made sense from the get-go, and so it actually took us 3 years to get a herd built up to even have a beef business. So yes, even though we started out, very small and built our herd up, it takes time. So it's been in the back of our minds this whole time. It's just it takes time for it all to come.
So tell us about those early days of your beef business. What lessons did you learn? What resources did you go to? Those types of things.
Well, when I was finding out about the benefits of Longhorn beef, obviously with the Texas Longhorn Breeders Association, their information spurred my interest. And then I went to Eat Wild, is an organization, and it really gave all the scientific articles and the backup to all of the data that I needed to back up what I felt like I was going to use in my marketing and in my plan for having the grass-fed beef in the first place. Some people raise the grain finished. I feel like that the grass finished is what I wanted to do based on the research that I did.
Like what sort of research? What can you talk about that a little bit more? The grass versus grain fed, I mean.
So when you go to the Eat Wild organization, it tells you all of the benefits of the grass-fed beef. And an example of it is that the omega-6 fatty acids that is present in corn and all of the grain-type finishing increases inflammation. I have a family history of arthritis. I have children that have rheumatoid arthritis, and it really sparked my interest about how to reduce omega-6. And, that's one of the key things that got me very interested in it. Do you want me to talk about some other benefits of grass-fed beef?
Yeah, sure. Go on.
One example is there's 3 times more the amount of vitamin E in grass-fed beef than grain-fed, and then vitamin E reduces your risk of heart disease and cancer. So that's an example. In 2012, the American Heart Association endorsed eating grass-fed red beef. The American Heart Association has never endorsed eating grain-fed beef. So I actually have some family members on my husband's side that are young. They're in their 40s and their 50s, and they have some significant heart conditions. And their cardiologists have told them they cannot have red beef, and they told their cardiologists about us having the grass-fed Longhorn, and they said that is the only red beef that they can have. So our own family is utilizing this grass-fed Longhorn beef as a way of treating their heart disease.
Wow, what's their doctor say now?
They're happy, and they just say, just keep doing what you're doing.
That's awesome.
Also, omega-3 has been shown to reduce, not only the risk of cancer, but it also helps in depression and some attention deficit disorders and with Alzheimer's disease. And so as I get older and the more forgetful I get, I'm starting, you always wonder, you never really know. And so I need to make sure that I'm eating the grass-fed beef. And now that I have been for over a year, I can't hardly stand fatty beef because I am so used to the lean beef. The fat used to be so satisfying, but it is no longer satisfying.
Well, that's good. So when you got into this and you started reading all about all the health benefits and everything, and you decided you were going to start selling beef, what were some of the requirements that you had to comply with so that you could start selling beef, whether it was at farmers markets, from the ranch, or wherever?
I had to go, I had to get a license from the State Department of Health. Well, it's actually the Oklahoma Department of Agricultural, Food, and Forestry gives a certification or a permit to allow to sell the beef off the farm. I don't currently participate in any farmers markets because it requires an additional annual requirements that are costly, I think. And I simply don't have the time. I'm so busy with my business the way it is. I have not attended farmers markets. And one of the things that has really been doing well in Oklahoma is they have these groups that are called cooperatives, where all the different farmers bring in their meat and their vegetables, and there is a store then that sells these products, from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m, 7 days a week. And so I pay a commission, and I simply keep my meat stocked. I have a freezer there, and it's worked well. In fact, their business has boomed so much since the COVID-19 and all of that crisis that went with it. They're now opening 2 more stores, and they've asked me to participate in those stores with my beef.
Wow,
That's awesome.
that's exciting.
Is that the banner and everything that we helped you with? Is that what that was for, Vickie?
Yes. So the vertical banner is at the store, so I'll be getting another one for the other 2 stores. I also have the poster that you did for me. I have it on the freezer, the glass freezer display, commercial freezers. And then I have brochures. And I have 2 restaurants, and it's just really easy when you have a brochure. People talk, customers have even said, we're talking at work about this. And I said, well, here, take some of these brochures and pass them out to your coworkers. I mean, it's been really nice and handy to have that brochure that tells about the benefits of your beef and who you are and where you're at. And now everyone's recognizing the benefit of shopping local.
And on the signage is mostly just your branding, your logo, but on the poster, if I remember correctly, it's just that same heart healthy information.
Yes, and it talks about why we chose the Longhorn cow and the aspects of the cow itself, not the bull, but the cows, what we look for in those cattle. When we purchase an animal, what we're looking for that Longhorn mama.
How did you, when you very first got started, tell us about how you got some of your first customers?
Well, I guess I happened upon it accidentally, but Google has been very, very helpful. There's been many times I've asked customers, how did you find me? Especially in the very, very beginning. And almost every one of them have said, well, I Googled and you were the first one that popped up. And so I was trying to figure out why that is. And the only thing I'm doing is that when I post to Instagram, so it'll automatically post to Facebook, I copy that post and I put it on Google. And then I put all my pictures on Google. So the more activity you have on Google, apparently, and they're looking at your pictures, they're looking at your posts, that moves you up. Apparently, that's what I figured out, because that's the only thing I'm doing. I'm not paying for that placement.
And so when you talk about posting to Google, you're actually in your Google business account, correct?
Right. And you can, it's called
Google My Business. Is that where it is?
Yes. Yeah, Google My Business. And I just have an app on my phone and I go to it. And then also the other thing I did is when I would get a nice compliment, I would send them I said, hey, would you mind giving us a rating on Google? And I don't have that many reviews on Google, but it sure has been nice to have them when they will take the time to do that. So they're also reviewing us on Facebook, they're reviewing us on Google, and then every now and then when I get nice compliments, I'll just post them on like Facebook. If they're, not a formal review. So when that customer, in the very beginning, Marketplace was a huge thing. There was also an app called Nextdoor, which is the communities. So I actually started in these communities, just saying, hey, we're here, and posting little simple things, not trying to sell anything, because at that point, a year ago, we didn't have anything to sell prior to that year. So I would just be active on my local community's Facebook accounts. And then once we had a product to sell, then we started posting those in those community Facebook groups. And then Marketplace, was a big deal. Helps get the word out. But what I want to say about Marketplace, if you post ads on Marketplace, or they're not really an ad, it's, you just post it for sale, you have to be responsive. If people wait several hours or a day for your response, you're going to lose that customer. So I tried to be extremely responsive to those Marketplace people when they would text me or message me. and then convert them to my website to get that sale.
So speaking of things being online and marketing, when and I guess, or how did you decide it was time to open an online store?
From the different things that I researched, it said that if you don't have an online way of purchasing, you're losing a certain percentage of your customers. There's that 20 or 30% of your customers, that's the only way they want to purchase. And so I felt like I had to have that online presence. And in the beginning, you don't sell that much. It's an expense that you have to put into your business, but you know that in the end it's going to make up for it, and it has.
Love what you're hearing? Be sure to check out our Pickup Truck Confessions. It's a video series where we hop in the truck or rental car and interview a variety of breeders about what drives their passion for their livestock, how they got started in the breed of their choice, marketing tips, and more. And now back to the podcast.
What sorts of pets do you sell or what sorts of options are there for customers in the online store?
Well, I've tried to make it good for not just one group of people. I don't just sell halves, quarters. I sell eighths because I have a large metropolitan area next to me to where we sell, and not everyone has a freezer. And with the COVID emergencies, you couldn't buy a freezer, and people have small refrigerators in apartments, and so I started selling eighths to accommodate that. And then I have all the different cuts. I've even started doing some of the specialty cuts that people are looking for, like the tongue and the cheek meat and the sweetbreads and all the different, the heart, all these different things. You wouldn't be surprised how many people want those. And if you just throw them away, that's just money that is, gone. But even if you only sell it for $3 or $4 a pound, that's money that it's making your processing costs so much better every time you sell something like that. And so I've just had quite a bit of customers ask for those things, and I'm getting asked for tallow now. So I have my first tallow I'm picking up with a quarter beef tomorrow, and then I have a lady that called me today about tallow. So especially grass-fed tallow, I guess is the thing for making balm and soap and all kinds of things.
Interesting. So do you ship to some of these customers who buy through your store do you ship out of state to them?
I do not. I really don't have a desire to ship out of state. I have a license for the state of Oklahoma only. The processor I use is state inspected. We're not USDA inspected. And honestly, we're staying so busy with our own communities and our own state. I have referred, several people have asked out of state for me to ship, and I have always referred them off to friends that are in the Longhorn business and that do sell beef.
That's nice of you.
Well, we're all in this together.
So can you tell us about your packaging? And is the packaging that you have now the packaging that you started with?
I didn't know. Our packaging is different. In the beginning, it was the processor's label. I do have a processor that helped me get my own private label, and they were brand new starting out in the business. And so I built that relationship with them. And now when it is so difficult to get a processing date, I have a standing appointment weekly. So I'm processing weekly, and I'm really fortunate to have fell into that spot with them and have developed that relationship with them, because it's been very mutual rewarding for all of us that are working in this beef and this beef business.
So with the clients that you currently have, how do you stay in communication with them?
Through my online store, I have a way of sending emails. It's through barn to door, and there's a private messaging aspect of it, and then also through um, emails, and then I text them and talk to them, and then just recently I've added the text it. So hopefully I can get everybody converted over to the text messaging. I have seen, and you all have said that more people use text messaging than emails, and I find that to be true also. My open rate on my emails is not really what I would like to see. So I'm hoping that the text messaging through TextIt will help communicate better with them. But I always text message them, like when I'm fixing to deliver, we're on our way, the ETA is, and just to make sure we're on the same page when it comes to delivering. So I have an easy pickup, especially with COVID. It's worked out great. I have a circle drive, and they drive right up to the front door, and I basically can hand it off, and then we deliver. And we got so busy that I've hired a 17-year-old boy that needed a job, and he does some delivering for me. So it's helped me out a bunch.
So let's touch on the texting for just a minute and tie it into social media as well. I know when I was visiting with you about using the text messaging, we talked about being able to segment your list for just your beef buyers versus like the registered Texas Longhorn buyers. So you have that list separated. Do you also have two separate social media accounts, or how do you handle that part?
I don't have two separate, because I have found that the people that are buying the beef, they like to look at beautiful Longhorns too. They're not squeamish in that respect. So they like the pretty pictures of the cows and the calves. So I have one account.
Do you feel like you balance the posts pretty evenly, or are you more geared towards the beef posts?
I try to balance it. I really do try to make a point to have that balanced.
So let's switch gears a little bit. We've kind of talked about sites or sales to customers from the website, and then those purchasing locally from you. Do you have any wholesale clients?
I do. I have 2 restaurants, and then I have a nutritional food center store that's in downtown Oklahoma City, and then I have the co-op that is on the outlying area of Edmond, and then that co-op is then adding on 2 more locations. So I'll have 4 stores and 2 restaurants, and I really I could add more, but I'm processing 150 head a year right now, and for right now that's good. I guess if I wasn't my retirement age, I would just be a go getter and keep adding all the customers I can. But I feel like I want to give that quality care to those clients and customers that I have now. So I'm kind of going to try to top it out at 150. And if I ever get to a point where I have more help, and then maybe I could branch out even more. But for right now, I feel comfortable doing what I'm doing.
And how do you keep up with the demand for that 150? How do you keep up with your inventory?
Well, I've purchased commercial deep freezes. I have a lot of non-commercial deep freezes. Not that they stay full, but when you process 3 head at a time, you have to have somewhere to put them until that meat goes out. So I do have an area. It's backed up with a generator, and I really have liked these commercial freezers I've gotten. They're the chest type with the display, so you can easily see and you can divide all your products out. So it makes it really handy and easy when you go to pull in orders.
So you have the deep freezes that have everything that's on hand. Do you allow people to order ahead of time, or do you try to curb that and only sell what you have on hand?
I do control that by putting what the inventory is in the store. So on the online store, they can purchase it. When they purchase, they decide if they want pickup or delivery, and they get 4 choices of pickup dates and times and 4 delivery dates and times. And then, so I can control it by the amount of inventory that I put on the store itself. So I often tell them I'm out of hamburger. It'll show sold out of hamburger, but I'll be restocked on Wednesday because that's the day I go pick up all my beef. Generally is on Wednesday. So then I'll let them know that they can check back with me, and when that inventory is posted, then they can purchase it.
Is there anything else that you would like to share, just kind of what you've learned through the process, or advice that you have for folks who are thinking of, taking some of their herd and moving it into a beef business?
I guess you learn by errors, and I certainly have learned through errors. And having been a quality compliance nurse, every mistake you make is a learning opportunity. And if you look at those errors as an opportunity to learn and to improve, then you're going to, over time, improve your process and make those processes work for you and work for your customer and make everyone happy, including yourself. So just learn from your mistakes, and that's basically it. I guess one of the big things I had to learn was, at what point is this animal ready for butcher? I did start out, and that was one of the first big mistakes I made, was butchering them too young. So you have to have patience, and you have to be able to know when that animal is ready for butcher, so you can have that consistent quality product that you want to sell.
It sounds like we could maybe do a whole separate episode just about what to look for in that, huh?
Yeah, maybe so. But I learned, I'm a person that reads, and that's how I learn. And I have to learn through seeing or reading. So that's why it's so important. If you're an auditory learner, then I would recommend people get on podcasts and learn everything they can to learn auditorily. And if you're a visual learner, then start reading and read everything you can read, because over time you develop this arsenal of knowledge, and it's certainly beneficial for the business side of it.
Well, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Do you want to tell everyone, we'll put it in the notes too, but do you want to tell everyone how they can find you and your store if they're interested?
Sure. It's www.b4cattlecompanywebstore.com.
And you're located in where in Oklahoma again?
We're located in central Oklahoma. Our cattle are located outside of Okarche, and then we live in Oklahoma City, and our products are sold in the Oklahoma City metro area.